Our top story of the episode, Bryan Danielson and CM Punk are in talks for AEW. As of today, I believe there are still no confirmed signings yet, but with how long these rumors have been going on without word from AEW to quash them, it's kind of on them at this point if this all turns out to be a big bowl of nothing. Word seems to be that All Out on September 5th is when Punk will be making his debut if he signs, and that Danielson will debut not long after that for the New York show, which will be on September 22nd. Perhaps Punk will make an appearance on the Chicago episode of Rampage, which will be August 20th, but again, it's all rumors and speculations at this point. Now, Tony Khan has said in the past that he did want CM Punk to join AEW from the start, and Punk did have talks with him at that time, but he ended up going to Fox instead for their WWE-adjacent analysis show, WWE Backstage. Who knows what's changed for Punk since then? Probably the fact that Backstage got canceled. And, he's still certainly one of the biggest names in wrestling for a while there. Arguably still is, but it's also really a mystery what he really wants. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a slam dunk for both sides, especially when you look at Punk. I mean, Punk, even when he was in WWE, was seen as very anti-WWE. He challenged authority, and you could say that AEW is doing that in the sense that they're challenging the WWE, right, for supremacy in the wrestling market. So I think it makes total sense that CM Punk would be interested in AEW. I think it makes total sense that he'd be interested in a company where it seems like they let a lot of their wrestlers, they give them a lot of creative control. And it makes sense for Bryan Danielson as well. I mean, not to get into Bryan Danielson, but AEW seems to be a company that's focused more on wrestling than WWE might be, which might be more about spectacle and, the glitz and glamour of professional wrestling and what money can buy. So I think it makes total sense for both of these wrestlers to join AEW, but especially Punk for me. I think that I think he's going to come at Rampage, to be honest. I think it just makes too much sense not to.
I mean, it would be a good advertisement for the pay-per-view that's coming up not long after that. And they do want to get Rampage off to a strong start. You don't want to start an hour-long show that's already credited to be the B show. Right. You want that to go smoothly, and the ratings on the Wednesday, when they moved from Wednesday to Friday, didn't have a lot of encouragement there.
Right,
so that is definitely the kind of publicity stunt you want to do. But to get to Danielson for a bit, he's actually, for me at least, a lot easier to get a handle on. He's not getting any younger, and he still has some goals he wants to accomplish while his body is still holding up. And AEW's open door policy with talent, as well as the working relationship with New Japan, makes it a perfect fit for him. Even if he doesn't wrestle all that much, he's definitely bringing a lot of attention to the company, and, he can perhaps get the younger guys over. Taz has done a lot of things for his guys. Matt Hardy's faction has its moments, and even if Darby didn't need Sting's help to be a superstar, he's definitely been helpful to his rise. So I can definitely see Danielson filling that kind of role. But the thing is, I don't know, I look at Danielson and I unequivocally can say that he is a good thing, where Punk, on the other hand, he's just too much of a mystery for me. I jumped into wrestling around 2018. I'm probably going to mention that on every episode at this point. So that's way after, maybe not way, but that was definitely after the era of Punk, and more closely the era of Daniel Bryan. I actually went back and watched some of the Daniel Bryan stuff. So I got Daniel Bryan a lot more than I got CM Punk. But even just looking at his decisions recently, as I said, he was asked at the ground floor level to join this company, and it wasn't like anything's really changed other than its popularity. Everyone knew from the start this was a disruptor. It had the talent, and it was going to be maybe not better alternative, but the more wrestling-centric alternative to what the WWE was offering, and he didn't go with it. Now, look, he doesn't have to be the messiah of wrestling. He doesn't have to be the greatest champion of the little guy out there. He can do whatever he wants, and if he's happy just taking, just picking, he did the WWE backstage job. I don't have any problem with that if he wanted to somewhat, not even mend relationships, but just kind of have an avenue to just kind of poke at them in that way. That's fine, but I don't know. I just don't feel he himself is living up to the hype that perhaps is unfairly put upon him. Like, he's been out of the WWE for years now. What has he done for wrestling since then?
I mean, that's a great point. And I think that kind of, to me, is the distinction between Punk and Danielson, where, Bryan Danielson seems to live and breathe, wrestling. He loves wrestling. he fought for the years that he was retired to get back into wrestling, to get back into the business that he loves. Punk to me seems like somebody who was burned out from it, somebody who, made it to the top, accomplished most of his goals. He's always said not main eventing WrestleMania is, a huge miss for him. And he puts a lot of blame on other people for that, I think. And I think some of that's fair and some of that's not. I think he's somebody who was kind of jaded by the way that WWE treated him, according to himself, towards the end, where he was wrestling, with a staph infection, and there's still the video evidence on YouTube of that.
Yeah.
I think he was burned out. I think he was jaded, and I think he just wanted to walk away for a while. I think the backstage thing was a way to dip his toes back in and kind of reestablish some kind of link with WWE, but he doesn't really have to play nice with WWE anymore, and I think that's a big part for him.
And, if there's one thing that's not going to fit with the AEW style at this point, it is jadedness and cynicism. Like, there's really no cynicism in AEW. They will occasionally, rarely, and usually only the heels take pot shots at WWE. Yeah. I don't want Punk to go in there and just spend all of his time ranting and raving about WWE. And I don't know if he's going to do that, but that's kind of the vibe that I get from the guy. So my only thing is proportion your expectations. I don't think he's going to change the world or be a seismic shift in AEW's trajectory. They're too strong for that to really be in effect. And honestly, Danielson himself, he's going to be big and he's going to have an impact, but he's not going to make AEW. AEW is already made. So I'm interested in these signings, definitely. I want to see what they do if they get in there, but I'm probably proportion your expectations. That's the best I can really say about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, and I think it's funny. I think a lot of maybe anti-WWE sentiment, which, I think maybe some AEW fans, not all AEW fans, might feel. I think maybe a lot of that was stoked by CM Punk, back in the day, back in 2011, 2012, when he was at his hottest. So it would be kind of full circle to see CM Punk, debut in a company that really was started not solely to throw WWE off its perch, but definitely, wouldn't mind that.
Is it going to be coming full circle, or will it be Ouroboros coming after its own tail? I hope that's the right metaphor. I hope I got that right.
I'll take your word for it. I have no idea.
What, the serpent that eats its own tail?
Oh, there you go. Okay, sure. Yeah,
I think that's called an Ouroboros. Whatever. Anyway.
Sure.